Well, hello, everybody. Trucker Todd here, and time for a very early edition of Tuesday Trucker Talk. This has been a crazy, crazy week, and I want to tell you guys all about it and why we're having to do the show early today and things like that. But before we do, I want to say hi to everybody. First one in today was shoot, he's been waiting about 40 minutes. It was Trucking with Fly Rabbit checking in. Also, my good friend Ted Van Buskirk is here. Yes, sir, all is well. Just been a crazy week. My other good friend Roger Berry is here. Sorry, I'm still drinking Coke Zero, trying to get my brain right. It's been a wild week. Another good friend, Tim Back, is here. Yes, sir. Midlife trucker daytime. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. How we got to this point, and it has to do with the load I'm on. Channel 19 is here. Thank you for coming in, sir. WTF? That's what I thought, man. Hello to Alvarez75. Thank you for joining us. All right, so here's what happened. I had a load that I was supposed to pick up in Wyoming. That you guys remember, I had the really good week last week. Deadheaded 177 or 172 miles, I don't remember. Was supposed to pick up a load of empty cans from a pretty large company that we would all know of, was the broker. Uh, I've made fun of that company in the past. It's been a few years, but their name makes some really good acronyms, and it's not Swift or any of those. But anyway, doesn't matter. Uh, they this was on a Friday, and they wouldn't give you the pickup number until you got to the place, and it was a 24-hour loading place. Well, they all went home Friday early, and I couldn't get the pickup number, and they said, well, you're going to have to sit there till Monday. We're not going to give you the pickup number till Monday. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. So I said, take me off the load. So they took me off of it, and I explained to them the situation on Monday. I said, hey, I'd like a TONU because I did my part. It's not my fault I couldn't get the pickup number. And they agreed. They ended up paying me a TONU. But what I did that night, that Friday night, I went to the truck stop, spent the night there, woke up the next morning, and I booked the exact same load, going to the exact same warehouse with another broker, a very large mega carrier broker. And I got $300 more on the rate. So all in all, I made $450 more than what I originally planned to make on that load. Then I got this load, and it was about 50 miles of deadhead, and it's got 11 stops on it though. Picked up in Utah, and it'll end up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But it's got 11 stops on it. So, and it's store fixtures and things like that. Those little freezer cases that you see in grocery stores and things like that. Well, I get to that place to pick up that load, and one of the fixtures for one of the stores, they had to make some adjustments to it. I figure they probably dropped it and broke it, and they just said that and was waiting for another one to come in because they were unloading a truck when I got there, and conveniently, as soon as that truck got unloaded, they all of a sudden had everything they needed to load me. Anyway, I sat there for 4 hours, and it looks like I sat there to no avail because this particular broker that I'm using for this load, and it's not that mega carrier one, that was the previous load. It's a small broker. They don't pay detention till after 4 hours. Well, guess how long I sat there? Exactly 4 hours. So this is like a Smokey and the Bandit type load. I'm supposed to follow this little cargo van around to these 11 stops, and he's supposed to unload me 2 pallets at each stop. And he, at that point, he's like, and he has to take pictures and do a bunch of stuff on his side. And so By the time we sat there that 4 hours and I got loaded, he took his pictures. He said, "Todd, I'm not a truck driver. I'm tired. I got to go to the hotel." And we've got 500 miles to drive to Colorado Springs, where our first two stops are. A little over 500 miles. And he said, "So I'll get up like 6 in the morning. I'll start heading that way." And I said, "Well, I'm going to drive. I still got hours on my logs. I'm going to go ahead and head that way." So I got to this place. I could have got here quicker, but I got here at about 9:30 this morning. And he and I have talked on the phone. He said he'd get here about 3:30 this afternoon. So I'm going to file for 6 hours detention on this place as well. And in theory, uh, I should get paid for two of it. I mean, yeah, two of it. So all in all, I've set 10 hours for $100, $10 an hour. Does anybody think that sounds like a good rate for detention pay? I was teasing one of my friends on the phone a minute ago. I said, I could walk in one of these fast food places and work the counter for $10 an hour while I was waiting for him to get here or more. And so it's not real happy with the detention rate, but I don't ever let that be a deciding factor if I take a load or not, because over 90% of the time you're never going to have a detention issue or nothing like that. But it's just it's a little frustrating how much I've had to sit. And so we're going to get these two stops off here, and I think we're going to try to do a few in Albuquerque, depending on what time he gets here and how quickly we can get this stuff done. But yeah, that's why we needed to do this video now, because the only reason I could do it now is because I'm waiting on him to get here. But then we're going to be knocking stops out after that. Now I'm parked outside this store. The store doesn't know I'm here, so it's probably fine. But at some point they may come out and tell me I've got to move or park at a different location. And if they do that, then I might have to pause the video or end the video and take care of that. Also, I've got my phones on. Normally, I turn my ringers off during these lives, but I've got them on in case that loader in the cargo van has to call me, gets lost, has car trouble, something like that, or if the broker needs to get a hold of me or something like that. So you may actually get to see me work today. You may get to see me interact with brokers. You may get to see me interact with the loader. And look, I could be a jerk. I could come down hard on that loader and chew him out, but it wouldn't accomplish nothing. Uh, Being a personable person, having a good attitude goes a lot further. And you're going to see when I talk to him, I'm going to be friendly. I'm not going to kiss his butt or nothing like that, but he's a nice guy. Some of these things are out of his control. I'd rather him go to a hotel and get a good night's sleep than I would him come out here and fall asleep behind the wheel and have an accident and kill somebody or kill himself or something like that. So it's fine. And I just wanted to update you guys on what's going on. But uh, depending on how this goes the next couple of days, this could interfere with the Thursday video too. I just don't know yet. Hope to be done with this load by Thursday. We'll see. My good friend John Toohey is here. He's driving while he's listening. Wow, same load. This broker nonsense needs to end. Yeah, yeah, and they all tell you the same thing. That first broker that couldn't give me a pickup number and they all say, "Well, I'm only making $50 on that load." And that may or may not be true. But if they do 1,000 of them a day, that's a lot of money. Or if they do 500 of them a day, that's a lot of money. And I doubt real seriously that one broker's only making $50 and the other broker, which is a mega carrier, could afford to pay me 300 more. I'm starting to think the first time I heard this, I thought, no, there's no way. But I'm kind of wondering if the brokers aren't splitting the rate 50-50 with the drivers. I always thought maybe they're making 20, 25%, but I've seen a lot of flexibility here lately. One of those loads I mentioned, I bumped them $500. This one, I said 400. In actuality, it was $11 short of that. It was $389. But it's going to work out being pretty good with the detention because this guy that is in the van that I'm following or supposed to be following, he's a hard worker. He's a good guy, but he can't drive with me. He's a lot younger than I am. Uh, I just don't think and I don't think he could drive as far as most of you could either. Most of you could outdrive your average car driver. And the reason is the average automobile driver drives about 15,000 miles a year. Uh, the average truck driver drives a little over 100,000 a year. So for every year experience that a car driver has, or I mean, I've got that backwards. For every year experience that a truck driver has, that's about 10 years in a car. So some of you've been driving 15, 20 years. You multiply that by 10, you've got the equivalent of 150 years driving experience or 200 years driving experience of a car driver. And so I'm not tooting my own horn, bragging. It's not my big ego kicking in, but most of you are far more experienced than the average automobile driver. And I want him to err on the side of safety. If he don't feel safe, pull over. If he calls me while we're doing this video and says, "Hey Todd, I'm tired. I need to sleep," I'm going to tell him pull over, get a nap, wake me or call me when you think you're on your way or when you think you can make it, and we're going to be good. There's not going to be any. I'm not going to be that dispatcher that's like, "Come on now, we need you to stretch. We need you to get there," like they used to do when we had paper logs. And if I was getting a free hotel every night, I'd want to maximize my time in the hotel as well. I'm sure he said he gets paid hourly, so I'm sure there's not a real motivation on his part to hurry, other than he's just trying to do me a solid because I've been so nice to him. I mean, but yeah, that's he wanted me to go out to eat with him yesterday while we was waiting for that 4 hours. I said, well, I really need to stay here with the truck in case they need me to move to a different dock or slide my wheels or there's an issue or something like that. They run a fork through the side of my trailer or something like that. Holy cow, 11. Yeah, I got to tell you, that's the most I ever done. Uh, I had many loads that was two or three, and I had that one load that got me to Lubbock that time that I think it was 4 or 5, but 11's a record for me. And all in all, it's not a bad load. It's just the shipper, the best I can tell, them delaying 4 hours and then the driver not being able to be here has kind of set me back a day. And it's possible we can make some of that time up. We'll just have to see. Ramon is here. Thank you for being here, sir. Daryl McNeese. Hey, Todd. Hey, Daryl. Thank you for being here, my friend. We get paid detention, but the problem is I'm never detained. Yeah. Well, that's a good problem to have. And so for those that don't know, Midlife works over at Cheeseman. He loves it over there. He's a company driver. And in the ideal world, nobody would ever get detention. You'd get loaded and unloaded in a quick fashion. But I mean, stuff happens. I went to one place one time, the forklift, actually, I've had it happen a couple of times. The forklift driver called in sick. They didn't have anybody to load me. And I talked them into letting me run the forklift, and I loaded the load. I had another one where the forklift broke down. They only had one forklift. And so they had to do it with a pallet jack. It took forever. And then one time when I was pulling cotton while I worked at Dart, one of the hydraulic lines busted, and it shot hydraulic fluid all over the back of my trailer. I've probably still got pictures of it. And the broker ended up paying for a trailer washout and to get my trailer washed. But it was a big old mess. And it was while they was unloading me, so they still got the cotton off. But yeah, it was a big delay. Well, there's a notification. It's nothing. Let's see here. But yeah, I will have to glance at my phone occasionally, just make sure it's not the broker or the loader or unloader that's supposed to be here. We get 54 per hour at General Mills. I made 540 yesterday. That's awesome. This one here pays 50. Uh, Most of the brokers pay somewhere between 30 and 60. So it's a decent rate, but waiting 4 hours for it, I kind of squealed on that a little bit. That two is plenty. And I mean, maybe three for this type of load, but I think four is a little excessive. But you, in the words of the great philosopher uh, Mick Jagger, you can't always get what you want. Hey, Elvis is in the building. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for being here. Ramon says he used to get paid after 2 hours, 50 an hour. Yeah, that I think that's pretty fair. 2 hours, they know you're coming. It's not a surprise. They make these appointments. They should be able to put 22 pallets on a trailer in 2 hours. And but it is what it is. Like I say, I usually ask about detention when I'm negotiating, but it's never a sticking point for me because, I mean, this is only, it happens once or twice a month at best. Did you get your taxes figured out? October 15th is coming. Yeah, so on that, I'm not going to file quarterly because most of the year I lost my tail with that accident and everything, and I'll just settle up at the end of the year. There is a penalty for doing that, but when you figure in accounting fees and all that, it's not that significant. Don't let Todd fool you. The rate's paying him plenty. Yeah, I do okay out here, and like I've never tried to lie to you guys or mislead you guys. I'm pretty good at what I do, negotiating rates and knowing where to go and where not to go, and picking loads and what kind of loads to pick, things like that. But my problem's always been personal debt, which has nothing to do with trucking. So I'll make killer money, but it's in and out, and that's what I got to get in control. The Corvette is paid off. The title came in yesterday. So when I get back to Lubbock, I'm going to finish putting it back together, and I'm going to put it on one of the online auctions and sell it. And then I'm going to wipe out some personal debt, get some work done to the semi, and keep trekking along. And I think I'll be in good shape then. My good friend John is heading to Denver. Well, I'm right south of you in Colorado Springs. And then from there, I'll be going further south down into Albuquerque. And probably going to spend the night in Albuquerque if I was guessing, but I don't know for sure yet. I hate spending the night in Albuquerque because it can be a real challenge to find parking. Yes, sir, I agree with you. That's what they always say when he says, for those that are driving and can't read the screen, he says, what the broker makes is irrelevant to you. I'm sorry, Mr. Broker is only making 50, but not my circus, not my monkeys. Yeah, but I use the same tactic on them. If you use the DAT board, it has a little uh, expense calculator there, and you can put in your truck payment, your average fuel economy, and all of that. And it'll estimate on the loads that they put a rate there what your profit and loss would be on each load. And I'll call them and I'll say, hey, this load's taking 4 days to do. And if I pull it for the rate you're offering it for, I'm going to make $12. And I'll tell them, I would really, really like to do this load, but I just can't do it for $3 a day profit. Can you help me out a little bit? And usually they'll come up $200 or $300, and I'll be 300 or 400 above that. I'll say, hey, I was thinking this amount. Can we meet in the middle at this amount? And that's how I get $400 to $500 out of them. Does it always work? No, it doesn't always work, but it's a good strategy. It's not me. If I just start complaining, these rates suck and fuel's too high and all of that, they don't want to hear that. Just like you don't want to hear they're only making $50 on a load. But if you're like, man, this is a great load, I'd love to do it. I can pick it up on time. I can deliver it on time. But I mean, one of them I was going to lose $122 if I hauled it. I was like, it's cheaper for me to stay at the truck stop than it is to lose $122. Can you help me out a little bit? And I always say this, I say, do you have any wiggle room? And usually they'll say, a little bit. And that's how I start that negotiation. But I'm never a jerk. It's never confrontational. It's just a friendly conversation back and forth. It's not personal, it's business. And I enjoy that more than I do driving. I would be a great dispatcher or load planner because I love the back and forth, the negotiation, the challenge. Sometimes they're going to say, "Nope, that's where we're at." Another one they use a lot is, "Well, that's what we've been paying for that." I understand, Mister Broker. I understand. Your last 5 loads, uh, that's what you've paid, and I have no reason to doubt you. However, I'm sure if you've seen the news lately, fuel's gone up, and so that means my expenses have gone up. And as a result of that, I've had to increase what I can haul this load for. And a lot of them say, "Oh yeah, I understand," and they'll come up $200 or $300, and then I'm not done there. I'm like, "You're pretty close to what I was shooting for. I was shooting for this amount. Could we meet in the middle at this amount?" And usually they'll come up another 100. And they'll be like, "Todd, that's honestly all I can do." And then I know I'm there, and I've got to make a decision. Do I walk away from it or do I take it at that rate? But either way, I've made $400 or $500 more just by asking questions. And if we all start doing that, then rates will come up. But if we're all like, man, it's Friday and I don't want to sit over the weekend, I'm going to take the first offer he gives me. Well, the first offer he gives you is going to be low because he's not worried about if you can feed his or feed your family. He's worried about if he can feed his family. And same thing, you're not worried about that broker if he can feed his family. You're trying to make your truck payments and keep your business successful. But there's enough meat on the bone for both sides. There's enough there that we need brokers, whether we want to admit it or not, and they need us. And we just got to find that middle ground to where they make what they need to make to be profitable, and we make what we need to make to be profitable. His problem is he doesn't have a runaway bride in the car with him. Yeah, that's a great point. If Sally Fields was in the car with him, I'm sure that he would get here a lot quicker. And this morning when I talked to him, and I don't know how many times he's done this trip, he's 540 something miles away, I think it was. I don't even remember now. And he's like, "Todd, I'm going to drive straight there nonstop." I said, "No, you're not." He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Your van doesn't have a 500 plus mile range on it. It's one of those Nissan cargo vans." I said, "You're going to have to stop and fuel at least once." And I said, "You're probably going to have to go to the bathroom. You're probably going to need something to eat." I said, you told me yourself you're not a truck driver. You're going to have to stop. I get it. It's okay." I said, "Get here as fast as you can safely." And he's like, "Really? You're okay with that?" I said, "Yeah, trust me. I want you to get here fast. But more importantly, I want you to get here. And so be careful out there. There's a lot of traffic. I hit some pretty decent rain last night. Colorado roads were terrible. They were doing a lot of construction, and there's big old huge grooves in the road that would kind of throw you around. And so I just want him to be careful more than anything else." That's nothing. All right. Joe Bananas is here. Hey, my friend. Hey, how are you all doing? I'm doing great, Snowman. How are y'all? Where y'all find yourselves today? I'd rather not be detained. I usually make more money turning the wheels. Yeah, without a doubt, Brendan. Um, Brendan, I'm sorry. I'm getting congested all of a sudden. I ate 2 sandwiches right before I came on the air, and it's kind of getting to me now. But detention will never, hardly ever pay what you'd make if you could drive. But it's a nice supplement to have on there. And this company I work for, SRO Logistics, he gives us all of that. So he takes 20% of the line haul, but all this detention, all this extra pay I get 100% of that. And I've had weeks where it was over $600. So it does add up. And I have guys tell me all the time, well, it's only $50. I ain't gonna mess with it. And I always tell them, well, if you saw 50 laying on the ground, would you pick it up? It's money they're willing to pay you if you'll ask for it. And so I always take it if I'm entitled to it. Joe Bananas says, "What's up, guys? We deliver forklifts and pallet jacks, parts and batteries. Never really have a problem with no forklift." Yeah, that's a good deal right there. I was bidding on a load this week that was moving a forklift, and we just couldn't come together on everything, but we got real close. I almost took that load. I don't get paid detention. I'm lucky I'm on the clock while I'm gone. Yeah, that is good. And there's a lot of guys that are out here advocating for truck drivers to be paid hourly. And I just don't know how you do that on an over the road deal. And I wonder if the drivers would work with the same enthusiasm if they were getting paid hourly. Split sleeper, right? Yep. Yep. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I always have to split sleeper, or almost always. I can't come on here for 2 or 3 hours and have it not affect my driving and logs. So yeah, I split log on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes other times. But uh, split sleeper is kind of like the blitz in football. You know, they say if you live by the blitz, you die by the blitz. Split sleeper can help you sometimes, but if you try to live by it and do it every day, you'll eventually get yourself in a pickle. So I use it sparingly, but almost always on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Have you done your 2022 taxes? Oh, yeah, a long time ago. I was still with ATBS. I switched, matter of fact, on January 1st, I switched from ATBS over to the guy that I was with, and ATBS did my 2022 taxes. And they actually, in defense of ATBS, they actually gave me some good advice. It was before I'd become an LLC, and they gave me some good advice, some good questions to ask, and things like that. And so, my experience with ATBS was extremely frustrating at times, and it's just because my situation's really, really complicated. At the time, I had 5 revenue streams, and so money was coming in from all kinds of places, and they weren't really set up for a lot of complicated stuff outside of trucking. Now, if I were to go back to them, I think the situation would be better. But yeah, the 2022 got done a long time ago. That one guy getting dire out here. Yeah, I was watching that girl Miranda on Trucking Made Successful, and she was talking about the hot and cold parts of the country. And basically, what she said is flatbed rates were kind of down right now, and reefer rates were kind of stagnant, and that dry van rates were slightly up. And that's been my experience so far. Is I'm starting to notice rates coming up. I'm doing pretty good out here, but personal debt's what I got to take care of without a doubt. If something sinks my ship, that'll be what does it right there. Year of your vet. The vet is a 75 Corvette Stingray. It's got a 350 in it, and it's got the 4-speed manual transmission, which I'm told is really rare. Somebody told me the other day they only made a little over 4,000 of them that year. It's got the T-tops. I guess they all have that, or the metal ones. I think those are called moonroofs or something. And then I've got a spare set of those that go with it that are in the bag. And so it's a very, very nice car. I put a video on TikTok. I did a YouTube short on it, and once I put it on an online auction, I'll let you guys know which one it is, and anybody that wants that can go on there and bid on it. I just like that idea because I don't have to worry about counterfeit money. I don't have to worry about getting robbed or nothing like that. The online auction will take care of collecting the money. I send them the title; they'll give the title to the buyer and all of that. So it takes a lot of the stress and risk out of it. I'll still have to be in town to show the car to prospective buyers, but I can do a lot of loads around the house and be there for a week or two while the car is selling. Oh, that's funny. That is funny, midlife. I started to make that reference and I didn't know how many people would get it. Midlife says, just don't forget to turn left in Albuquerque. He's doing the old famous Bugs Bunny quote. That's pretty good. Yeah, I've parked there a few times, and also there's like a dirt lot kind of across the interstate from there that a bunch of trucks park in. But I hate that truck stop with a passion. It I got kicked out of there over the mask mandate, and so I've gone back a few times since then, but it's kind of a last resort. As anyone who has seen my videos know, I do a lot of runs between Ohio and Laredo. They are my favorite. Yeah, I bet. I bet they are. Doing what I'm doing, it can be dangerous to go to Laredo because it can be hard to get out of there. But in the right circumstances, I'd go there. I used to do 40-foot reefer container loaded with fish, 4,400 boxes on the floor, 4 a.m. appointment. Leave that place at 4 p.m. First 2 hours free. After that, 50 an hour. See, I would love that deal because that's plenty of time to get a good night's rest. If you got food in your truck like I do, you can eat, and so that's a pretty good deal right there, Ramon. Gary Cook is here. Good afternoon, Todd. Just got here. I'm getting loaded in Tolleson, Arizona, heading back to Lancaster. Man, that's a nice run you got right there. New Mexico roads are terrible. Yeah, I don't like New Mexico roads either. Colorado was really bad last night. Hey, Todd, Sally Field back then in 77 or now in 2023. You know, a lot of them, it's kind of like they turned into a pumpkin at midnight. Uh, I was watching a documentary on Farrah Fawcett, and she really deteriorated a lot at the end. Now she had butt cancer, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. But even if you subtract that from the equation, she really wrinkled up and didn't was almost unrecognizable from the Farrah Fawcett that we all knew. And Sally Field, same thing. She was something else in 77, and I guess for her age, she's still something now. But yeah, she's got some years on her now, got some miles on her. Wiggle room, well, then wiggle your way up to a decent rate. Yeah, a lot of them will because when you say wiggle room or something like that, kind of break the ice, it's not as confrontational. So, and a lot of people think it's a bad idea to tell them you really want the load, and I do. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to blow smoke at you. I really like this load. I just can't do it for that. Here's what that load costs me to run, and I just want to make some money. Now, I've done some things to the numbers there. I've come in with my fuel economy a little lower than what it probably is, and even if I'm right on it, fuel economy, that app is not figuring in my fuel discount. So I'm probably making a little more than what they realize I am, but they're probably making a little more than what I realize they are too. If the detention happens over a break and it doesn't cost you drive line hours, it's found money. Yes, sir, I agree with you. And in Ramon's situation, like he was talking about, if I knew when I got there I was going to have to sit for 14 hours, man, I would, being Trucker Todd, I'd probably make a couple of videos and go to bed. If I wasn't Trucker Todd, I'd probably play a couple of video games and go to bed, make myself a nice dinner, and it would just be part of my routine. I do not want to be paid hourly. I want to be paid for what I get done, not just being here. Well, yeah, and once you start getting paid hourly, it's going to be, well, you need to hurry. You need to hurry. And they're going to try to cram, there's going to be a lot more pressure on you to hurry. Same thing with hub miles. I've always been worried about hub miles because it'll be, well, why'd you go to that truck stop across the street? This one was closer. Or we saw you took the loop around town. Why didn't you drive straight through? Things like that. Sometimes you can negotiate yourself into no freedom. Do you prefer 8-2 or 7-3? I like the 7-3. Wish they would allow us to do 5-5. I agree with you. It depends on the situation. Right now I'm on an 8-2, but it's because that's what I needed to do to get this load here. But normally 7-3 works really good, especially if you have to wait somewhere for a while. The key is to make sure you know how to do one. I take a lot of calls explaining people how it works, things like that. Watch some YouTube videos. Make sure that you know the ins and outs of how to do a split sleeper berth. And I don't want to go into it here because we'll get in a big argument about it. Some of you I'll tell you privately, or you can watch some YouTube videos. But yeah, man, I got to lower my screen. Air is going out of my seat because I've been sitting for a while. Hello, Chris Morris, another really good friend of mine that I ain't seen in a while. How are you doing, my friend? It's a home daily thing with Averett. Very, very seldom over 200 miles from home, unless it's my choice. Well, that's not a bad deal, I don't guess. I run a rolling split. It avoids the 30-minute break and breaks up the day. The negative side is I go through my 76 days. Yeah, I bet. Matthew Miller. Hey, everyone. No fear. Hey, everyone. Thanks, guys, for being here. Appreciate y'all. Everybody, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed so you get notifications when we do these. And share these videos out. I saw a report this morning in my email. 50 of y'all shared my videos out just this week, and I appreciate y'all doing that. That really helps me out. We're now over 5,900, so we'll be creeping up on that 6,000 mark soon. Look for a lot of cool things to start happening when we get to 10,000, but we may be a little ways away from there, maybe a year or so. I'm in San Diego with the load. Got here yesterday morning. Am still not unloaded. Wow, what are they saying? That's crazy. Farrah was married to the $6 million man who was also the fall guy. Remember him mentioning her in the intro song? Yeah, Lee Majors. But her husband at her time of death was a different guy in that documentary. It was kind of sad. It showed her in the hospital, and they were all standing by her bedside saying goodbye to her. And but I don't know why I was watching that yesterday. I saw that one and the one for Lucille Ball. Yeah, Sally Field's a great actress. I liked Sally Field, was a good actress in Miss Doubtfire. My wife loves that movie, Miss Doubtfire. Nate Train. I was explaining my crazy week and the 11 stop load I was on. You guys can go back and check that out at the start of the video. I don't want to run everybody back through it, but it's been a crazy week. At any point, I may have to jump off here if the store comes out and needs me to move to a different part of the parking lot, or if my loader calls me and is close. But he shouldn't be here for, oh, I don't know, probably 3 more hours or so. So I think we're good to do this video. And we kind of got into a talk about detention and what's fair and what's not fair, things like that. Hey, Cassius King is here. Thank you for coming in, my friend. It's good to see you again. I'm paranoid as I can be though, because I hear horns honk, doors shut, and things clanging around. But if they come over and need me to move or something, I'll just pause the video and move, and we'll resume. And hopefully the broker or the loader will call me, and y'all can hear me interact with them on the phone and see how I do it. And so yeah, we'll see what happens. This is a lot less structured than what I'm usually used to, but it was the only way I could squeeze a video in today. Many drivers forget that the 2-3 has to be paired with the 7-8 in sleeper berth. They get home and put it off duty, forgetting that they need that pair. Yep. That's I had a guy call me the other day, and he's like, Todd, I've been off 8 hours and I didn't get any hours back. I'm trying to do a split sleeper. And he had done part of that 8 hours in off duty, not sleeper berth. I said, well, that's why it's not letting you. You've got to do your longer one. Either your 7 or 8 hours has to be all sleeper. Now, the shorter one, the 2 or 3, it can be a mix of off duty and sleeper, but no driving, nothing like that. And people get that confused with the 30-minute break, because the 30-minute break can be on duty if you're fueling or something like that. And so I see where the confusion comes in. And like I say, just make sure you're doing it right, because you can get yourself in a pickle, and it's just complicated enough that not all the DOT officers fully understand it. Fortunately, they're not looking at paper like they used to. I've had 2 level 3s since I've been here, and both times they just type a code into my ELD, and they have an automated deal that checks my logs, and it comes back and tells him they're good. So he doesn't even actually manually look at them anymore unless it says there's a problem. Asphalt Jungle says, pump up the likes. Yeah, please do. It really, really helps. Who remembers when Robin Williams did the movie Popeye? I did. I liked that movie. I like Popeye the cartoon. I like the Robin Williams movie. And even the Popeye video game back in the day was a lot of fun. Linda Carter is still hot. Yeah, and I'll tick some people off when I say this. I believe Linda Carter was the best Wonder Woman too. Gal Gadot's okay, and she did a movie with The Rock and with the guy that does the Mint Mobile commercials. I can't think of his name. Called Red Notice. It's on Netflix. That's a pretty good movie if you hadn't seen it. They also do not have to be exactly 2 or 3 and 7 or 8. Just have to add up right. 2.5, 7.5. Yep, that's right. That those are just minimums. But yeah, you're right. You can split it up like that. I'm not sure about the 2.5, 7.5. I think the 2.5 you'd still have to have the full 8, but I'm willing to concede I might be wrong about that. If I got in that situation, I would just look at my E-log when I got to the 7.5 and see. I'm willing to concede you might be right, but I think you still have to have the 8 if you're going to do the 2. In my case, I'd probably just sit there another 30 minutes and do the 3 and 7, but to each their own. RGB says, hey, thanks for being here, man. I remember watching the Popeye movie at the theater when it first came out. We rarely got to go to the movies when I was a kid. My dad was a cotton farmer, worked a lot. But I remember he took us to see the E.T. movie when it came out, and the guy behind us was being real loud and real obnoxious, and my dad almost got in a fist fight in the movie theater. So, and that's funny if you know him because he's like the calmest, most passive guy you'd ever meet. Like nothing upsets him. Linda Carter was in the movie Super Troopers. Are you talking about Linda Carter or are you talking about Gal Gadot? The short has to be at least two, the long has to be at least. Ah, okay. Yep. I think you're right now that I think about it. And the short can be a mix of sleeper berth and off duty, but the long, no matter what you do, has to be all sleeper berth. Ah, okay. Linda Carter was in the movie Super Troopers. I did not know that. I watched a deal on YouTube the other day. They were talking about all the old movies or all the old TV shows from the 70s and how they did special effects and stuff. And there's a scene they show Linda Carter where she runs out in the hall and throws these two guys across the hall. And you can like see them landing on a mattress on the floor. And of course, they didn't have CGI and all that stuff back then, but it's and you can see the shadows of the stuntmen and stuff like that. And it's like man, that TV production has come a long way since the 70s. We all know that, but we probably don't think about it a lot. Right. So if you're going to do a PC, do it on the short. Exactly. So for those that don't get what he's saying, if you did your PC during your long break for split sleeper berth, you wouldn't be sleeper berth for the whole time. So it would nullify it. However, if you did it on the short one, since it can be a combination of off and sleeper berth, you would still be okay. So yeah, that's a great point as well, midlife. I was 19 or 20 when Popeye came out. Wow. I honestly don't remember what year that movie came out, but I remember watching it at my grandpa's house. Goldie Hawn is a good-looking woman. Was checking now, so your 75 vet is very rare. Yeah, it is, and you know, I'm trying not to make a big deal about that because uh, that's what everybody does with an old car. They go, "Oh, it's rare," and they're all rare because they don't make them no more. They get crushed over time, especially a lot of cars from the 70s. People get out, they dog them. The car's basically almost 50 years old. The 2024s are out, so it's 49 years old. And it needs somebody that'll love it and baby it and take care of it. But it's extremely rare with that four speed. That alone, just that four speed manual transmission, adds eight to $10,000 to the value of the car. Now, the problem is this generation, nobody knows how to drive a manual transmission. So that may hurt it, even though it makes it rare. So, what you're hoping to find when you sell that car is maybe somebody that had one when they first got out of college or something like that, and they've always wanted another one, something like that. But we'll see. In this economy, I don't know how well it's going to sell. Her lasso of truth. Yeah, I thought that was funny the first time I heard that as well. Too bad they don't have a lasso of truth on the YouTubes. Some of these YouTubers would be in big trouble. Yours is rare because of the four speed. Yeah, and honestly, that's the reason I bought it. Because you can find one with a three-speed automatic all day long for $7,000 or $8,000. But It was the first 4-speed I'd ran across. And it's because in 1975, it was the base model. Nobody wanted a manual transmission. They all wanted automatic. But now, when you get a car like that, they're just a lot more fun with that manual transmission. No, I wish it did. What he's talking about, he says, does it have the keyhole in your front left quarter panel? That was a security system that was an option on those cars, and mine doesn't have that. I kind of wish it did. I think that's kind of cool. Even if it doesn't work, it looks neat. Yeah, it's for sale. Craig, have them email me, Todd at truckertodd.net, and they're welcome to put an offer in on it. If I don't get an offer, then I'll put it on that online auction and they can bid there. But if I could sell it straight to an individual without having to pay auction fees, that'd be great. But yeah, I appreciate that, Craig. It came out in 80, I think. I'll be 63 in a few days. Ah, okay. Yeah, you got a few years on me. I'm 50 right now. In December, I'll turn 51. Yeah, depending on, he says mine's like 20K and up. Yeah, it's going to be somewhere in the 20 to $30,000 range. It runs really good. I think I'd be happy somewhere around 25, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I really don't want to sell it, but it's just right now I need to get rid of some stuff. And I work all the time. I don't get to drive it. And so it just makes sense. I had an 84 and later 82. The 82 was silver anniversary edition and loved it. I was a young, dumb lieutenant back then. Yeah, those silver ones look neat. I know what you're talking about. My other problem is I'm a Ford guy. I don't know if I was having a midlife crisis when I bought that car or what, but I'm a Ford guy. I should have bought a Ford, but I thought, when am I ever going to find another Corvette like this? Put the vet on Bring a Trailer. Maybe there, maybe TFL Bids. They've got a big YouTube presence, and they have TFL Bids. Also, Purple Wave, where I bought my cop car. I'm pretty familiar with their system and how it works. Just hadn't decided yet. I got to get to work on that now that the titles come in the mail. So when you pay the car off, the dealership doesn't send you the title. I guess it's this way everywhere. But in Texas, it comes from Austin. And Austin's kind of slow, but they finally sent me the title. I think my car insurance was higher than my monthly payment for either car. Yeah, it's real cheap on that Corvette now. I've got it through Haggerty's as a collector car, and it's like $400 a year. But they want you to keep it garaged, and so that's what I do. I've got it insured for 25,000, so I think it's probably worth at least that because they wouldn't let me over insure it. I'm gonna drink some Coke Zero while y'all are typing. I'm also going to remove that comment so that y'all can see the website. I got a guy that's supposed to be emailing me or calling me. I'm not sure which. We're going to put some more stuff on the website pretty soon. He did 50 tips for truck drivers, and he wants me to include it on the website. So we're trying to get that put together. To be quite honest, I'm a little apprehensive about doing it. I don't necessarily agree completely with his 50. I told him that, and so there may be some revisions to it before it goes on the website, or I may talk while we're going over the 50 and tell you my different views from where they do. It was written by a very large law firm, and So I guess they represent truck drivers sometimes, or they represent victims of truck drivers. I'm not sure which. I've got a lot of questions like that before I put his article on my website. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. If y'all hadn't checked out the website yet, go check it out. Midlife says, I stopped in New Jersey after coming back from Europe. The speed limit was 55 back then. The officer said I was at 125. I got lucky and an attorney beat the ticket. Radar only had 2 digits. I honestly don't know if that Corvette would run 125. I'm sure some of them would. It probably depends what actual ratio it has in it. But in fourth gear at 70, it's running like 3,300 RPMs. It just, you have to remember in the mid 70s, they were having the fuel crisis. The national speed limit was 55s. So they made a lot of cars that was pretty fast from 0 to 60. And a matter of fact, when you look at stats now for cars, they'll still show a 0 to 60 time. But after 60, a lot of times they didn't have a whole lot left after that. That Corvette just looks cool when you're driving it around. It's the slowest car I own, but it's also the coolest looking one I own. Arguably, maybe my pickup's the coolest. It just depends what you like. I got the 84 up to 140. I think the car had more, but the driver did not. Yeah, well, in 84, they had started, 74 was the lowest horsepower year that I can remember, well, that I know of for the C3. Yours was actually a C4. And so each year they were kind of increasing the horsepower a little bit. And I don't have any doubt yours would do 140, but I don't think mine would get there. Now, my cop car, I've had it up, I want to say to about 130, and it'll cruise out pretty good. Pickup, I've had it up to about 125, but it's got the governors removed and all of that, and it's scary at 125 with those big 35 tires on there. Also, down in the ticker below the video, it's got my email, my website there. Um, it's got a small disclaimer now there since some people would like to see me in a courtroom. Let's see what else it's got down there. It's been a while since I read it. It does the usual, reminding you to subscribe, do the thumbs up, all the stuff we have to do. It does mention social media. Speaking of that, want to remind everybody I've got a TikTok. Y'all go join me there. Follow me, whatever they call it there. I don't know. I'm still learning about that stuff. And also, there's an Instagram, a LinkedIn, Facebook. There's lots of ways that we can interact. And from time to time, I put different things on different platforms. So check it out when you get a chance. Also the email's there. If you've got your own truck, you want to come over here and work with me, the email's there, safety at srologistics.com. Email Scott, tell him about your truck and about yourself, and he'll call you back just as soon as he can. So far, 2 guys have come in the chat and said that they talked to him and that they were real impressed with him and thought he had a good program. So that's always good to hear. Let's see here. What else we got? Most I've done was 140 on my 05 VTX 1800cc. See, I ride motorcycles, but I ride them like a grandpa. I'm a speed limit obeying guy because I'm old and I brake easy. If I fall off that thing, something's going to break. And so, yeah, I ride motorcycles, but I don't go crazy on them. And I like a good cruiser. Right now, maybe later this year or maybe next summer, I'd like to get an enduro motorcycle where you can ride it on dirt and street, because we got a lot of dirt roads, a lot of country roads around Lubbock there, and it'd be nice to just kind of go off the beaten path and kind of casually ride around. The new C8 Vet is the most god awful, ugliest Corvette ever manufactured. See, I like the way it looks on the outside. I hate the interior. Hate the interior. But outside, it looks like a supercar, and it may be a supercar, but I just don't like how they designed the dash and everything on the inside. I'm tapping out back to Lexington and done for the day. Catch up on the rest in the morning. Be careful. All right, Roger, thanks for coming in. Have a great day. We don't have a lot in here right now. I didn't figure we would because of the time of day, and everybody's kind of mentally trained to come in at 5 Central Time. So we may get a lot of replay views later today when people show up at the normal time to watch the video. But I appreciate everybody being here. I know the comments are also kind of slow because many of you are driving while you're watching this video. And I still appreciate you just the same being here. We've been really fortunate so far. Nobody's called. I left the phone open just in case the broker or the loader called. And so hopefully I'll hear something pretty soon. I just now saw Asphalt Jungle's comment. I'm sorry about that, Asphalt. I'm liking it now. Asphalt's always been really supportive of the channel. I appreciate him. All of you have. I don't want to single anybody out, but you guys have been great. Let's see. Anything else? We're coming up on just over an hour. If y'all got anything else you want to talk about, throw it up. We'll put it in there. If you don't, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And I'll do nothing until that guy gets here. Can't call the wife. She's at work. So I may play some video games or something if y'all don't have a lot to say today. Oh, I know one more thing I want to talk about. Now, I was debating with myself if I was going to do this or not, but I think I need to. Let me get to this comment real quick, and then I'll tell you what I was going to talk about. So I did see a little snow in the ditches, but there was none on the road. It was rainy in spots, but it was in the 40s, so it wasn't bad that way. It's just they're doing a lot of construction. There was a lot of grooves in the road that would throw you around, things like that. But anyway, I want to get to this real quick because my name came up a couple of times in another live, and I want to comment on it. So earlier in the week, I took a picture of my dash, and I showed my fuel economy. I was getting like 10.3 or 10.4. The desire and motivation, because I don't make any money when I put a picture up like that. It doesn't affect me monetarily at all. But I wanted it to motivate guys because I get the question a lot. How's the PACCAR run? Are you really getting better fuel economy? Things like that. And I thought, man, maybe it'll answer that question. Maybe it'll motivate people. At the time, I was doing 55 miles an hour. And I was talking about going slower and how that affects fuel economy and something like that. Well, what do you think happened? I put that picture up, and somebody magnified it 1,000 times and said they saw my arm in the video, and they thought that I was holding the phone while I was driving, and they were going to tell Scott and try to get me fired, and they hoped I didn't have another accident because of distracted driving. So this week alone, that accident has been hypothesized that I was distracted driving, and it's been hypothesized that I had brake failure too. That came up last night, that I didn't do a proper pre-trip and my brakes failed on that Volvo. So I'm still not going to comment on the accident just yet, but I'm going to tell you that's just baloney. So what I am going to do, something I've never done before on a video, I'm going to show you actually how that happened, how I did that picture, and because the trick I used with my phone to do this, a lot of people didn't know you could do this. So give me just a second. I'm going to take off my hat. I'm going to take off my headset, and I'm going to put my headset right here. So hopefully you can still hear me. Now, the reason I didn't want to tell you guys how I did this was honestly, I was a little embarrassed. They make a GoPro that will mount on your head. It's a like a mount kit, and then your camera snaps into it. As you guys know, I don't have a GoPro yet, so I improvised. I made my own, and I wore it that day, knowing that I was going to get good fuel economy and I could take this shot. When I first started here, the very first load I pulled for this company was at a place that they required you to have a hard hat, and I did not have a hard hat. And they didn't offer any. Like a lot of places will require a hard hat, but they'll give you the hard hat to wear, and this place didn't do that. So Scott gave me a hard hat to use, and what I did basically is take the inner part of the headliner out and alien taped one of my phones to the kit. Now, currently, that phone is right beside me on the seat. I've already mounted it because I expected the trolls to come in here and ask this question, but I just want to cover it because they may catch it on the replay later. So I'm unplugging it because I had it charging because it's also my hotspot. But I want you to see that while my eyes are on the screen, I can reach over and grab it. Now, it doesn't really matter because I was already wearing it, but I'm going to put this on real quick. Like that. Now, you can see that I can look, and normally the other day it was sitting up a little higher, but it's kind of fallen. I had it up higher on my forehead, like up here. Now, watch this trick, folks. Uh, okay, Google, take a selfie. One of my phones did it. I'm not sure which one. I just heard the other one click. Okay, Google, take a selfie. All right, I'm going to take that off, and let's look and see if we've got, there's the alien tape on the back. That is the worst part, is getting the tape off after you do this. I'm still going to be able to prove my point even if this phone didn't do it because my other one did. But if you've got a decent Google phone, you can do this. You can also tell it to send a text. You can also tell it to dial a number. There's all kinds of little voice prompt things. Right now, I'm just peeling the tape off, and then I'll show you the selfie. So I go to Photos, go to Library. That phone did not do it, so let's go to the other one over here. That's the problem when you got multiple phones in here. When you got multiple phones in here, you never know which one of them's going to go off. I think they interfered with each other. But where is my photos? I'm on the Motorola right now. Here's two pictures. And you can't really see it because of the glare of the screen. There you can kind of see my computer screen. And then here's the other one. That's actually the back of my laptop. So the other question is, and I've already took the headset off, so I'm just going to have to show you. Why did it look like my hand was up here like this? A lot of people thought I was holding it like this. My hand was up here like this because if you looked at that picture, there was glare from the sun, and I was trying to keep the glare from hitting the camera. I never touched the phone. I was perfectly legal. It's the same thing you do when you put your hand up like this to see. I lost my sunglasses, and so sometimes if I'm in a bright sun, I'll raise my hand like this to see. So I was not holding the phone, but in the video, the way they blew it up, you could see my watch and my arm at an angle like this. And it's just me trying to see the road because of the glare. I was not touching my phone. I was not holding my phone. So why did I take the picture down? Let's talk about that for a second. Let me get this headset back on so y'all can hear me better. Because that long deal that I just explained to you is real hard to explain in a text message. And rather than have the drama, rather than Scott get a million emails and calls, I just decided to take it down. It's not paying me nothing anyway. It was designed to be a motivator for some of you guys that are out here struggling right now. But instead, it was turned into an attack on me. And I'm way too busy to deal with this nonsense third grade stuff that some of these crybaby YouTubers want to do. You guys don't realize what it's like to have a target on your back. And I know I'm being watched pretty much everywhere I go, every time I step out in public. And people are waiting for me to mess up so that they can throw it up in my face. And I'm not going to do something as stupid as hold a phone and take a selfie while I'm going down the road. And it really kind of, to be honest, it really kind of ticked me off that they thought I would be that stupid. But I am smart enough to raise my hand to try to keep the sun out of my eyes. And even in that picture, if you've still got it, I took it down. You can see glare on the dash to where it was hard to see. And you say, well, how do you know that if you weren't looking at your phone? Well, that phone is 3 inches above my head. If it's having trouble seeing those digital numbers, then I know, or if I'm having trouble seeing those digital numbers, then I know it's going to have problems too. If I'm blocking the sun where I can see, then I know it's blocking the sun where it can see. It's really just common sense. That's how it was done. And I did not damage this bracket in any way, this hard hat bracket. And as soon as this video is over, I'll snap it back in into the hard hat. And I may get a really cool one before too long. You never know. Good game to play, Demolition Derby 4. Yeah, I played that game some. I like John Madden. I just can't help it. And I like 2022 better than 2023. But also like that Hot Wheels race game on Xbox Live. And there's a lot of the racing games are pretty good. There's also a game on there called Snow Runner. I like it, but I get frustrated. And then, of course, I like all the Halo games. So, but I just wanted to clear that up. It's rare that I pull a video down, and some people made some comments about it last night, and I felt like I needed to address it. And so I hope everybody understands now. And I regret doing that demonstration for y'all because for some reason this tape is not coming off as easy as it did the other day. Almost got it. That alien tape, if you've never used it, they sell it at Walmart. That stuff is like super glue. It works really good. One more little piece. And I think you may can even see, you can see where the glue was on there the other day. There's some of the residue to kind of just prove what I was saying. Ted, that was Narc talking shit as always. You know what the shame about that is? He was actually really, really good last night on camera. He gave a lot of great information. I learned a lot. Uh, I think he would be very, very successful if he did a maintenance channel. I think a lot of YouTubers would welcome him on on their shows with welcome arms. He knows a lot about tires without a doubt. Um, he gave some really great advice about after treatment and about oil, and I mean just a great interview last night. And still, they found a way to bring my name into it. I must have not done a pre-trip and my brakes failed. And also that I took that video down because I was holding my phone and taking pictures while I was driving. And you know what everybody don't understand. You don't understand until you have a target on you. Is yeah, I could have answered him back, but no matter what I put in a text or in a comment, they're going to twist my words and use it against me. The best way to do it is come on here on my live where I can talk and I can say what I want to say. I can do the just the demonstrations I want to do, and then the public can decide. You know, half of you, even if I showed you video, too bad I didn't have an inward facing camera that day. Even if I showed you an inward facing camera video showing me wearing that headset, not touching my phone, people would say, "Oh, well, he rigged that. That's a camera trick or something." So they're not going to believe me. Half of the people aren't going to believe me anyway because it doesn't fit the narrative. And then half the people, if I said, "Hey, I didn't do it, trust me," they'd say, "All right, Todd, we trust you. You've never lied to us. We believe you." But I just couldn't believe. I was kind of shocked that my name came up. I'd left one comment in there, something like, "This is a great interview" or something. And as soon as I said that, it was an opportunity to attack me. And I don't get it. The only thing I'm guilty of is trying to help people. And have I ever got anything wrong? Absolutely. So has everybody that's watching my video. But uh, this is a news and opinion channel. I share news stories and I give my opinions, and that's it. If you, it doesn't mean you're going to agree with every opinion I say. It doesn't mean you're going to agree with every thought I have, but maybe I'm that opposing opinion. Maybe I'm like sometimes I'll flip from Fox News to CNN or from CNN to Fox just to hear what the other side has to say. And and I think everybody needs to do that. Sometimes it's okay to hear an opposing view or a differing opinion and see how the other side thinks, but instead it's try to get me fired, try to get me arrested, try to harass my family, things like that. And I just don't get it. It's childish. They wouldn't like it if I did it to them. And he, a couple of times in his video last night, said, well, that's what my channel is. That's what I do. And maybe it is. I mean, there's there's all kinds of stuff in the world that maybe it's there because there's an audience for it, but maybe there shouldn't be an audience for it. And I'll be the first to tell you some of his videos are very, very funny. A lot of his videos are really, really disturbing. But yeah, I can't believe how quick everybody rushes to judgment and just assumes the worst. He said he don't like people, and yeah, but I don't even fault him for that. I mean, doing this for a while, there's days I don't like people. It people can be mean, they can be vindictive, but I know I also see the results of what I'm doing. I mean, I see people helping people. And I'm not saying that it's as a result of what I'm doing, but I like to think that I contributed in some small part. So I hope trucking's getting a better as a result of what I'm doing and as a result of what you guys are doing. I hope it's not continuing to go down. But he also says in his video that he makes stuff up, and I think that's the truest thing he ever said. It he's definitely made up a lot of stuff about me. And the funny thing is, I like the guy. I've talked to him before. We've emailed before. We've texted before. He's not a bad guy, but he thinks his path to stardom is to trash other YouTubers. And I think his path to stardom is to do mechanic videos. He does have a lot of knowledge, and I didn't realize how much knowledge. I had no idea what he did for the company that he's working for. I thought he was just like an oil change guy, but he's like their tire guy and does mechanical work. And it was obvious last night he knows a lot. So why not share that knowledge and help drivers instead of trying to get drivers fired and tear drivers down? I got a couple of small cameras called Insta360 Go, only about 2 inches long, about 3/4 inches wide. That's pretty cool. Uh, you've made me want to get a drone. Have a good one, buddy, and be safe. Thank you, Ramon. I appreciate it. Whenever there is partial information put out on anything from an incident or politics, there'll always be theories and speculations. True, but no information had been put out. I didn't even put a reason. I just pulled the videos, and so it. I think it was perfectly reasonable to say, "Hey, why'd you pull that video?" I think it was unreasonable to accuse me of distracted driving and say that's what the first accident was from. And maybe they're trying to do a shock value to get me to comment on it. I don't watch their videos anymore. I happened to see him last night on another channel, and he was really really good. Uh, so like I said, I enjoyed that show. And sometimes he's really really funny on his show, but I just had to quit watching him because it's it's not productive. It's attacking me and attacking others for nothing, for stuff that you admit you made up. These judgment trolls act like Democrats. Yeah, some of them do, and they may be Democrats. I don't know. Well, give me details, midlife. You disclosed a teased after the wreck, just a few details. It's kind of a cliffhanger episode of a TV at the end of a season. Yeah, give me some details. What did I disclose? I said I've been in an accident and I'm not going to be making videos for a while, and I can't comment beyond that. That's not a tease. It You guys don't understand. If I stop making videos, people think something's happened to me. I've had guys call me panicked that I'm in the hospital or I've been hurt or something like that. I have a responsibility to tell people if I'm not going to be able to make videos. Just like there's a lot of people that feel a responsibility to me. Go back and look at the start of the comments of this video. How many people said here, checking in, things like that. Uh, they want me to know they're here. They want to know that I'm going to be here. And if I'd have had that accident and just went dark for 2 or 3 weeks, people would have thought I was dead. I had an obligation to tell people I'm okay. I've been in an accident, but because of that accident, I can't make videos for a few days. I got to get all my stuff out of this truck. I got to get back home. I got to find another truck. Got to fill out police reports. I got to take a drug test. All of that stuff. But yeah, if you think I left a cliffhanger, please tell me what that cliffhanger was. It's not like the trucking YouTube is excited. Well, a lot of people get excited for these videos, and sometimes it is. Uh, you just never know who's going to show up or what they're going to say. You told us about the wreck happening, but then left us. Well, you have to understand something. This is a platform that over its life has had uh, several thousand views. I believe close to 200,000 views. I haven't looked lately. At least over 100,000 views. And I'm saying that. I don't know. It's had thousands of views. Let's leave it there. Thousands of views. And any truck accident is a legal proceeding. And anything I say can and will be used against me. So it would be stupid and irresponsible of me to come on and give a lot of details and facts until all the dust settles, which it's very tough for me to not counterpunch when I'm punched. So people are out here saying all things about me. I heard I was high. I heard I fell asleep behind the wheel. I heard I was texting and driving. I heard that, I heard all of this stuff. I heard brakes failed on my truck. And it's tough to not be able to respond to those ridiculous things. But I have to think about my legal safety. I have to think about the company's legal safety. At the time, I was still employed by them. So throwing them under the bus or giving out a bunch of information while I'm still employed there wasn't wise either. Um, I think sometimes we forget that I can't say and do some things that I might normally say or do if I didn't have this channel. But I can tell you that I think about it every single day. I'm usually in phone calls about it every single day. I've never been issued a ticket, and I haven't been contacted by lawyers on either side for or against me. I have been asked to not give details at this time. And as long as I'm told not to give details, it's not me putting a cliffhanger out there. It's me accepting legal advice from people that know a lot more about it than me. I'm not attacking. I'm just saying you put out a season ending tease and then you said you would tell more later. And I will when it's safe to do so. But I'm not going to potentially set myself up for litigation or for cease and desist orders or anything else until the people that advise me tell me it's safe to do that. But yeah, when it's safe to talk about it more, I will. The only thing I've said is the information you're hearing is not correct. Some of the pictures you've seen weren't even my truck. All of those things are facts. All of those things I can say without putting myself in any kind of legal jeopardy. And it if nobody's ever been through the court systems, you realize it doesn't really matter if you're innocent or guilty. It matters who has the most money. I mean, it's a lot like Republicans and Democrats. It's two sides arguing a point. One side arguing you're guilty, one side arguing you're innocent, and neither side really cares. They just want to win. And so I don't want to give either side ammunition right now. Uh, I do have a clear opinion of who's at fault of what happened, but I don't want to get sued for giving that opinion. When it's safe for me to talk about it, I will. Our world is full of lovers and it's full of haters. Yeah, I think it's got more haters than lovers because it's easy to tear someone down instead of giving someone a helping hand. Yeah, and I used to be guilty of that. I used to always find the negative in people and be cynical of everything they said. But these trolls and YouTube in general has really opened my eyes to the world and what a nasty, miserable place it is. There's people out here that have terrible lives, terrible families, and they want to spread their misery with you. And I've tried to distance myself as much as I can from those things. But I mean, my life is not a 1 hour court drama on Law and Order. When I say I'll talk about something later, it doesn't mean an hour later when the drama ends. It means when it's recommended that I can do so. And so hopefully that's soon. Hopefully I can give you slightly more information. But I mean, even close friends and family, I've had to keep it from them. My wife knows, but outside of her, very few people know. Ted said the only thing I've found bad about you is that you're a Ford lover. Yeah, guilty as charged. I understand the legal aspects, but does it leave anyone, but it does leave everyone waiting. And now it's not as exciting as who shot JR, but it's still got us waiting. I get it, man. It's I think the one thing that we all forget, and I'm guilty of it on other YouTube channels, we all forget that this is someone's life. And while it's entertaining and we all enjoy watching it, heck, I enjoy watching it. Uh, I've got to try to survive all this stuff. You would be shocked at how many people were just over the moon excited because they thought my driving was done. This was the end of Trucker Todd. There's no way he could recover from this. And they were celebrating my demise. I don't care if I hated you, I wouldn't wish your demise. I'd wish you changed. I might not watch your videos, but I wouldn't wish bad on you and your family. And same thing with trying to get me fired. Even if I hated your guts, I wouldn't call your company, try to get you fired, try to cause problems for you like that. I'd just not watch your stuff. But there's people that, I mean, I get why you want to know. You're just a curious person, but there's people in this community that want bad to happen to me, and it's like they're holding an empty gun at my head, and they're wanting me to hand them the bullets, and I'm not going to hand them the bullets. Now, when I'm at a safe place where I can discuss the situation, I'm still going to have the bullets, but I'm still not going to give it to them. Well, juries are made of 12 men and women who aren't smart enough to get out of jury duty. Yeah, and I mean, they make mistakes all the time. I still think we got the best judicial system in the world, but they basically got two salesmen standing in front of them for several days, and they're not hearing all the facts. They're hearing what the judge said is admissible in court. And we've learned with what's going on with Hunter Biden and Trump that juries can be swayed and some can be favorable to one side over the other side. And I'm not saying bad about juries. I think juries get it right most of the time. But I just I got to be careful right now is all I can say. And I've got the best job I've ever had, and I'm trying not to screw that up. And when it comes to a point where I can talk about the accident, trust me, I'll be glad to talk about it. But until that time, I got to do what's wise, and that means listening to the people that advise me on these legal things, and that means doing what's best for my family and things like that. Daryl says, I'm curious about the reason you left your prior tax guy. I've commented a little bit about it on here. I've since received a cease and desist order from him, which I'm abiding by, and so I can't really comment on it. But call him, ask him. His phone number is still in some of my old Tuesday Trucker Talk videos where he came on the last Tuesday of every month. Go back to one of those videos, dig his phone number out, call him, and speak to him specifically. Ask him and see what he tells you. I haven't placed a cease and desist order on him, so he's free to speak about it as much as he wants to. In your accident, the investigation officer would have found out if your brakes had failed. You would have known about it. Yeah, well, I would have known about it before the investigator. I would have pressed the pedal and they didn't work. Uh, so but what I would say is that, did I fail a drug test? Well, no. I mean, Scott wouldn't have hired me if I'd failed a drug test. Did I have distracted driving? No. If you don't think they look through my phone records? You don't think they check those things out? I mean, all of these fake things that they've come up with. It was heavy traffic that day. You don't think if I was texting and driving, somebody would have seen me, or they can't get my phone records? It's just people making stuff up. And what they're hoping is that I'll go, oh no, that didn't happen. Here's what happened. And I'm not going to do that until the people that advise me tell me it's okay to talk about it. Um, it's There's a lot there. I really wish I could. Why worry about it? He has told everyone 1,000 times that he will talk about it when he can. Wow, people give him a break. It's okay, Ted. I get, because I'd be the same way. I hate, and I was guilty of it for 3.5 months. I'm working at a great place, but I'm not going to tell you where it's at. It is frustrating, especially if you're with a crappy company and this guy's coming on YouTube and and uh, and saying how great his company is. You're like, well, I might want to go to work there. Why won't he tell me where it's at? Why keep it a secret? I get why they want to know. And same thing with the accident. This guy's got 27 years experience. How could he have an accident? And why won't he just tell us what happens? So what if he gets sued? It won't affect me. Uh, so I get why they want to know. Uh, YouTube is one of my sources of income. It's one of my jobs. For a while, it was my main job, but it's not right now. It's a subsidiary of driving a truck. I make a lot more money driving a truck than I do doing YouTube. So I've got to take care of the truck driving job. And that's why sometimes I don't put out a video. I take care of the truck driving job first. And in order to do that, sometimes I can't reveal everything. It doesn't mean that there's a smoking gun behind the door or there's this big, deep, dark secret. It just means that I got to look out for me because nobody else is. And a Cowboys lover. Yeah, I do love the Cowboys. And I heard there was a little smack talk between Dak and who they're playing this week. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank. They were mouthing them that San Francisco was mouthing about how they beat them in the playoffs last year, and it kind of ticked Dak off. So it'll probably be a pretty good game. I guess I missed that video. Yeah. Yes, that was another cliffhanger. You know the riders were on strike, right? You held off where you were for months. Now I did do that, but you got to think about that for a second too. What was the big complaint I got about Swift? You worked there a couple of weeks and you're already promoting them. You're already talking about them. You shouldn't tell anybody where you're working for 3 months. I heard that over and over and over. You're just recruiting. You don't care about the company. All you care about is recruiting bonuses. So I take that to heart and I go, all right, I'm not saying where I'm working for a few months. Well, look at you, Todd, keeping it a secret, making it a cliffhanger. So it's like when I used to do income videos. Half of the people go, you're lying, and half of the people go, you're getting screwed. I make more than you. Nobody's going, oh, well, how are you making that? Can you show me? Can you teach me? No, it's either you're lying or it's something like that. So I quit doing income videos. I mean, it's no skin off my back. I make the same money whether y'all see how much I make or not. But I try to give you guys that information so you have a baseline to know if you're doing good or not. And I mean, like I say about trucking all the time, we're so busy tearing each other down instead of trying to help each other. And that's why trucking is in the shape it's in right now. That's why we have ELDs. That's why we have all this camera crap on these trucks, these lane departure things. It's because we tear each other down instead of building each other up. I mean, I did the speed limiter video, and how many people came on there and go, well, I do 58 miles an hour, so I think everybody should do 58 miles an hour. Well, yeah, you're a company driver and you're used to the income you're making. I'm an independent contractor with my own business. I put a down payment on a truck. I've got an investment there. And so I want to reap as much as I can from that investment. And just because you're happy and comfortable doing what you're doing in your operation doesn't mean that you're supposed to dictate to me what I can do to my operation. By the same token, I could have a truck that ran 85 and I could say, well, I think all trucks should do 85 because my truck does 85. That's not fair to these small companies that want to run slow and get better fuel economy. And that picture that the trolls wanted to try to get me fired over, it showed me going 55. I run slow when I can. I run hard when I have to. And so I just don't get why we got to tear each other down. Because he cannot pay his own bills but wants to tell someone else how to pay their taxes. He is just as no good as a uh, uh, I appreciate it, Ted. I can't comment on that, but yeah, I would love it if he got 100 phone calls and people were asking him what happened. I think it's something that needs to be explained. But as a person, I can tell you he's a good guy. I hung out with him at Matt's, and I thought we were friends. He is a good guy. Nicholas Earl says Dak doesn't need to be smack talking anybody. I don't know that he was smack talking. He was rebuting what San Francisco had said, but I mean, he played smart football this last game, and the first two games was pretty good. He had one bad game, and the whole team had a bad game that game. So he's another one of them. Everybody's quick to jump on, but what happens if he does good this year? Will they cut him a break then? The quarterbacks of the Cowboys, there's always been unrealistic expectations for them. I understand why. I don't think so. I think the 49ers are going to walk to dog walk the Cowboys. Well, we'll see. I think they've got some injuries this week too, so we'll see. That's why we play all the games, but I think you might be surprised. It's not bad. It just says that people watch and are interested. We always look forward to the next episode. Well, thanks. That's why my pay videos are so detailed. If I didn't show the logs or pay sheet or whatever, I'd say I'm hiding some. Hiding some. Yeah, but then when I do that, because see, my situation's even different there. It's easier when you're a company driver. So I show my settlements, and they go, well, you your truck payment's not on there. Well, that's true. It's ACH drafted out of my account every Friday. Well, your truck insurance ain't on there. That's true. It's ACH drafted once a month. Well, there's probably something else you're not including. There probably is. You are to see my bank statements. There probably is. Is it possible that I do an income video and something doesn't get included on there? Absolutely. So I try to do them as accurately as I can. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I'd have guys come on, well, Todd, you're getting ripped off. I'm making more than you. Well, what are you pulling? Oh, I'm pulling a step deck. Well, yeah, it's a different deal. Well, Todd, you're getting ripped off. I'm pulling a reefer. Well, yeah, I'm doing a dry van. It's different. I mean, we got to compare apples and apples. And I do them the same way. I say, well, yeah, your tolls ain't on here. You stayed up in the Northeast to get those rates. You gave a lot of that money back in tolls. Or, it just depends. Hey, Todd, you ever gone over 100 in a semi? Yes. And I think I can comment on it because the statute of limitations has run out. But back in the day, I had a 2002 Peterbilt 379 that was wide open, and it'd run about 105. Only did it a couple of times, and yeah, that was a truck right there. I know how hard it is as a lease driver. I did it at Arter for 9 weeks and Christensen for 15. I had to work hard to show everything: fuel, tolls, payments. It's hard. Yeah, and the problem is, that's a good point, midlife. But the problem is, I can spend an hour and a half trying to make it as accurate as I can, and if I miss something, the critics, they don't say, "Oh, well, Todd made an honest mistake." They say Todd purposefully tried to mislead us because he's trying to get referral bonuses, and it's just insane. It's like, no, I forgot to include one toll this month or something, and there was a $5 toll I left off, or something like that. I went over a bridge that charged $20 and forgot to list it, or I left off one fuel receipt or something. And it's that's the problem, is that uh, and I'm not saying I'm a big channel, but I'm fairly well known. When you get fairly well known, the target on your back is so big that people are just looking to pick you apart over the littlest thing. If you mispronounce a city, oh man, that's the end of the world. And so I'm erring on the side of caution now. It's people that want that information can contact me privately, and if there's a good reason for them to know, then I'll share it with them to the best of my ability. And same thing, but this worked out really well. Not saying where I was at for 3.5 months, and I don't see myself going anywhere. Like I said, all the scenarios I can play out in my mind. If there's a problem with this company, it's my fault, because he's I mean, the way it's set up, I'm picking my own loads, doing my own rates. It's my truck. Uh, it's got to be a screw up on my part. There's very little room for error on his part. Very few things that he could do wrong. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. But yeah, if somebody calls me, hey, I've got my application in at SRO Logistics. Can you kind of tell me how pay's going? Sure, that makes sense. Hey, I've got an application in at Swift. Can you tell me? No, because I hadn't worked there in 6 months or so. I did do some income videos back then. I've openly said what I took home there usually, but the market's changed since then. It's been 6 months. I can't tell you you're going to make what I made. Even here, I can't tell you you're going to make what I make here. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you you probably won't, because I got more experience. I know what I'm doing. But I think you can make a good living here. I think Scott's going to treat you good. I think Swift will treat you good. I just don't know what their freight situation's like right now. I think they're having a lot of trouble beta testing that load board from what I'm hearing. Same thing with Dart. Dart's going through a transition period right now. I can tell you what it was like when I was there a couple of years ago. I can't tell you what it's like now. Um, I can give you my opinions about their new CEO they got over there, but I've never met him or had a phone conversation. I've just watched him on YouTube and heard other drivers talk about him. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Oh, this is a great point. Great point. Thank you for this one, Right Way to Truck. What people need to realize is everyone's deductions are different. So the YouTuber that helped me start this channel, and I don't even think he's around anymore, gave me a lot of great advice, kind of got me started. Uh, he used to get on to me because I did income videos like almost every week at Roadrunner. I was like Midlife is. I was putting out income videos all the time. And then I started doing them every 6 weeks so that it'd figure in home time and all of that. And he said, Todd, you need to put your personal expenses in there too. And I'm like, why would I do that? If I've got 4 cars, why would somebody else figure car payments into their take home? If I've got 0 kids and it's just me and the wife, my taxes are higher than a guy that's got 3 kids at home. I said, people know what their at home expenses are. Why would I include that in my deductions? And how would I do that for several hundred people at once? You see what I'm saying? I can put mine on there, but it's irrelevant. Your monthly house payment or rent payment's going to be different than mine is. Your monthly car payments are going to be different. Your credit card payments are going to be different. I mean, I give you the basic numbers, and then I figure you can figure it out on your own. That's why I like how Cash is King does it, because he talks gross, and you can go in there and figure it off of that. And but these guys, it's just they nitpick you to death. Ooh, it's getting warm in here. I may have to crank the truck here pretty quick. But yeah, back to what you're saying, this is a great point. Everyone's deductions are different, and everyone's pays different. I mean, the thing that everybody keeps forgetting, when I got on the beta test and the load board at Swift, everybody's like, "Oh, Trucker Todd only got on there because of his YouTube channel." They forget that I had all that experience running load boards. That was one of the reasons Swift wanted me, was because I had experience. And I'm a good communicator. I can tell them the problems. And people thought, oh, it's just because of the YouTube channel. No, I know what I'm doing. There's a reason. I had a guy call me a minute ago. He's like, Todd, you're getting all these good loads. Are you just lucky? Well, you can call it luck, but I find that the harder I work, the luckier I get. And every time I get on the load boards, I get lucky. So am I doing something right, or am I lucky? And I mean, I think we tend to do that. We say, oh, well, that guy's successful because he's lucky, or he's in the right place at the right time, was another phrase that come up. And I'm not picking on this guy, but he's a good friend, really smart guy. He's doing very well himself, but he had one of his worst weeks, and he was asking me how I'm doing so well. And I said, well, I've been doing this for 4 years. I've been driving for 27, but I've been on the load boards for about 4 years now. So, I mean, I've learned where to go, where not to go. I know how to talk to brokers, how to negotiate. I learned little tricks. I make connections. I have good people skills from when I sold cars. You can call it luck. You can call it being in the right place at the right time. But if it keeps happening over and over, I must be doing something right. Now, I'm by no means an expert on anything. I'm just giving you my opinion, and that's what I said last night. Watching that live with Narc, I learned a lot. The guy, if we got into a competition about maintenance and mechanics, he'd win. He knows a lot more about maintenance and mechanics than I do, and I just think it's a shame that he's not using that knowledge and information more often to help people. Because last night was a good show. Home expenses, taxes, deductions are always different for everyone. Yep. There's no such thing as luck. Everything is based on decisions that we make. Just like winning the lottery, you have to decide to buy a ticket. Yeah. I hope that if you decide to buy a ticket this week and you win, that you decide to share it with your favorite YouTuber. And if they can't take it for whatever reason, then give it to me. I'd love to have it. Well, and let me give you the flip side of that. So I told that guy exactly what I'm doing right now, and I did my best to help him. And I I wish him the best. There's no hard feelings, but yeah, it's. I mean, people don't realize. People say all the time, "I don't see how you have time to do these videos, Todd, and drive a truck." Well, sometimes I don't. I've had to cancel a few live shows, but you make time for what's important to you. And so the video game systems get turned on a lot less. I hadn't turned the Xbox on in over a month. I play the Atari a lot. I hadn't played my Nintendo Switch in a couple of months. I just, a matter of fact, it's not even on the truck right now. So those things are fun. I enjoy doing them, but they don't pay the bills. YouTube pays the bills. Truck driving pays the bills. So the time goes there. Um, Now, some of the other things I do, I can do those driving down the road, and I do that. Phone calls. I've got the headset. I've got the phones mounted in a way that I can drive and do voice to text and things like that safely and legally going down the road. But if it's in a precarious situation, driving takes the priority. I don't answer the phone. Some of you have called and you don't get me. And I say, "Were you talking to somebody?" "No, I was driving through construction. I'm not going to talk while I'm doing that." Or there was an accident and I wanted to get around it safely, or I was in Atlanta traffic, so I thought it'd be better if I called you back when I got out of it. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that people don't take into consideration. And a good friend of mine that works over at Roadrunner, he tells me this all the time. He says, "Todd, you're a lot smarter than what you look." And at first I was kind of insulted. And then he's like, "No, no." He's like, "You seem so down to earth and common that I don't realize how smart you are until I see you work." And several of you have gone to lunch with me, and you'll see both phones just blowing up constantly. And you're like, I heard you say you're busy, but I never believed it until I saw it right now. And I've told this story. I was at Christmas dinner, sitting at the table with my family, and talking to Roadrunner drivers that were having problems. It's so Trucker Todd is 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It would be 24 hours a day if I didn't turn my ringer off, because I believe the biggest selling point to this channel is that I'm accessible, that I'll talk to you guys, that I'll tell you the truth and stand behind what I say. And I think there's a lot of YouTubers that say, "Yeah, yeah, I like, subscribe, all that." But when you really need help, they're nowhere to be found. And so that's what I would say about that as well. Is there's a reason that the channel has changed somewhat, and we'll adapt. It may go back to some of those old ways at some point if we see an avenue to do that safely. But it's just the bigger the spotlight gets, the more cockroaches that show up. And cockroaches usually run from light, but they just can't help to have their 5 minutes of fame. All righty, I've rambled for 2 hours now. If you guys got anything else, let's talk about it. If not, I'm going to hop off here. I got to crank the truck and get some air going in here. I don't want to crank it while we're on air because my airbags have deflated now, and I have to. I don't want you to hear it beeping while it's airing up for 2 or 3 minutes. Let's see what else we got here. I use Google Voice number till I know a person. So I've got multiple numbers, but the three main ones I've used, I've got one for Trucker Todd. That's where most of you guys go through. And then I've got one for family. And then I've got one strictly for brokers that almost nobody has that number. The brokers have it, and my oldest son has it, and my wife has it, and that's it. And So that's my 3 numbers. I do have or have had in the past some Google numbers. I don't think I have any right now. But yeah, it's and I've got call screening stuff and call blocking stuff, and if somebody turns out to be a problem, I can block them, but that's only happened a few times. I'd say very below 1% are the crazy kind. Most of them are just good old boys that have a question, need a little advice. What is frustrating though, and I talked about this in the last video, had a guy call me that it was obvious he hadn't watched my videos in 2 or 3 months. And he was literally asking me questions that were directly from the last video I had done. And I told him, I said, I'm too busy. I said, I just talked about this in the last video. Go back and watch that video and then call me. Because it's frustrating to take all the time and effort it takes to put out one of these videos, the expense, having the 3 phones, having the large data plans, all of that, for them to be too lazy to watch your video but want to call you for advice. Let's see. Are you kidding? Every insurance company broker representative has tried to call me, every factoring company, every trucking loan company. I get a lot of calls. That's why I've got it divided up that way, because like the broker phone, I take very few calls on that phone when I'm at home time, because I'm not interested in doing a load. I'm interested in spending time with family. The Trucker Todd line, I answer it, but if the wife wants to go to dinner and a movie, it's going to get turned off. And the family line, I'm going to put it on quiet, and that way, if there's a problem with one of the grandkids or something, I can still be reached. But that way, I can step away from it if I need to. And so that's, I would say the same thing to you guys, that if you've got a dispatcher that they're calling you when you're on your own time every day, that's not off time. You need to be able to step away from your truck, step away from your dispatcher, and just enjoy your home time. Daryl says, I got to roll. Until next time. All right, man, be careful out there. We're kind of slowing down here. Well, no, now we're jumping back up. We're up over 30. We may go a little while longer. Like I said, it's a little slow today, but I kind of expected it because I kind of sprung this video on you as a surprise. And and so we're still good right now. Got about 2 hours before that driver gets here. And the store hadn't said nothing now, so I think we're pretty safe here. If y'all got anything you want to talk about, throw it up. Of course, we can wrap it up here if we need to. We got our 2 hours in. Some of you that are going to really miss the 5 o'clock show tonight, just rewatch this one at 5 o'clock. It'll help me out, and I'll really appreciate it. Okay, it's all quiet now. I'm going to cut out of here. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you on the next one. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.